I mean, first game was a massive display of peel talent from Tien and 369. Tien walked away with MVP, completely understandably so. Weibo go onto that blue side, and they failed at that 1-3-1 skirmish comp. Top Esports, they peeled too well. Weibo couldn't get the advantages they needed that. And we go into a game 2 wondering what Weibo can do more than that. They got a lot of their comfort picks. They managed to get Tarzan into lanes early. I think that Tien's early pathing still locked Tarzan out of doing as much as he could have done, which is insane given that he did 40,000 damage and had 300% gold efficiency across that game. Leona's banned, Ashe is banned, Tristana is up, very importantly so. That champion should not be going through for free. That would have to be a first pick from Weibo. You can't give that over to Cream, so yeah, that pick coming through, that has to be a ban here from Top Esports, surely.
Yeah, it does feel that way, as be very
hang on. So we have some big problems here. So there's Rumble, there is Tristana, there is so much to play for.
Yeah.
All of the AP junglers. This is a draft where Top Esports said, okay, let's overload the draft. We're going to ban out some more specific stuff, so the more generally powerful things are available for first and second picks. Weibo can only pick one of the power picks. Top Esports can maybe even respond with 2 of their own, and you can see Weibo, they're umming and ahhing. What do they lock in? They do go towards the Rumble.
It's been so strong, and it does feel like there isn't really an answer in lane to Rumble very freely, so very difficult to manage. The response may well be this Tristana, something the Cream has had a lot of success on, and does feel to be the more banned option out of the Corki-Tristana duo.
So, Top Esports, they're going to get Cream's Tristana from this? That's insane. Right? This is the dude which has been solo killing Faker, solo killing everyone on this pick. That is so bold. So, Xiaoqi's not going to get Lucian, which is one of his best champions. He might have to go towards the Yone, which wasn't great in that last game. He has shown improvement on it, but is it enough? You've also got that Sejuani, which has been a first pick priority for Tien in recent series as well. So, Weibo, God, they are really praying that Breathe can do some hard carrying here through a laning phase versus 369. I'd imagine 369 has to lock in, well, if you don't lock it on 3, it's going to be really hard for him to get any kind of value out of that pick. Weibo, though, this is now going to be an arms race. Can Breathe get far enough ahead in top lane to win the game before Cream does the same in mid lane?
Yeah, it's definitely going to be something that we've got to keep our eyes on, generally speaking, because they have been so inconsistent of Weibo over the course. They've been looking better, and that game 1 they were competitive in the early game. The problem is on the other side, Top Esports, yes, they stumbled in a couple weeks, but that is a blip on what has been a very steady, successful journey for them across particularly summer, but they weren't exactly bad in spring either, guys. Come on now. And debating what to pick in the top side. 369 thinking about a cannon can certainly be a menace in the team fights, even if the laning phase against Rumble is still going to be hard, because Rumble's just tough to lane against in general.
Funnily enough, we have seen at different points in the past, Rumble be a counter to Kennen, and Kennen be a counter to Rumble. They're both magic damage from that top lane, so you don't have to look for it heavily elsewhere. We're expecting this Poppy to go into the jungle. It does bully out the Sejuani. In fact, we have seen Poppy's solo kill Sejuani at level 3. If you are if you're in the right kind of position to get a wall stun and also cancel out that Q as well from Sejuani, you get the extra damage from the steadfast presence. So Tarzan looking towards the, what I love to call, and you know, if you hear anyone else say this, remember I said it first, and I have a sense of pride about this, the full build Poppy. You hit level 3 and you play like a maniac to use that level 3 spike to just run across the map. That's how it played last year. It's still this chance to go towards that support role. Technically as a flex, Top Esports, all of these champions are likely going to be in their expected roles as well. Kennen top, Sejuani jungle, Tristana mid. Very good comfort champions for Tien and Cream. I'm still quite worried about letting this Rumble go through, even though the cannon can answer that Rumble. It feels like it is quite risky, especially now with the Poppy who can gank early too. It's not the best champion to gank that cannon with. We can definitely have some value. No AD carries really locked in towards that bot lane though, so we are still conspicuously, the Ezreal is up and available. That can be very powerful. The Senna and the Kai'Sa, very, very powerful. Weirdly for Jackalov, I'm surprised they're banning it themselves, but they must be angling for that Ezreal now.
Yeah, that's exactly it. They will be certainly considering that as an option. It does feel like a very strong champion choice. And the Ezreal is a very comfortable champion for Jackie. The response, though, a very rapid Kalista and Artalot. They are playing through bot.
So what they are doing is level 3 Poppy, level 2, level 3 bot lane, Goomba stomp that bot lane. Now, you might need to go towards something more lane pressury like the Karma, weirdly, because you need to be able to contest these early levels to some extent. You know that your target has been put on this bot side. Breathe is likely not going to be on the strong side Rumble at this point. It's going to be Tarzan likely pathing towards bot side to start dumping down on this lane and try and make sure this Kalista Renata can snowball through the game. The Karma is here to give you some level 1 priority to make sure that the Kalista Renata doesn't get an easy push in and start diving you with that Poppy. If they can stop that wave crashing in by trimming it with the Mantra Q, getting some HP off, maybe they can survive the early look in from the Poppy Kalista Renata. Not many teams play towards this. This to me is very heads up. It is a showcase of the flexibility of these players on the Rift from Top Esports with that last pick of the draft to try and dismantle the win condition from Weibo.
Yeah, and I'm looking at the other side as well. As what this does is it isolates top lane 1v1, and that should be pretty scary for into a Rumble because it means you're not going to have that jungle attention you sometimes need to stop Rumble from being as impressive a lane as he might otherwise be.
So, both of these teams picking out very different compositions from our first game of the series. It does feel like early game instead of those late game junglers with AP scalings are on the task here. Both Tarzan and Tien showcasing they can play, or at least draft towards both of them, see how much impact they can have. Tien walked away with MVP of game 1. Tarzan almost ended up having a team fight, a masterclass on that Brand through in that game 1, but it was not enough. Top Esports look to get themselves onto the board in series wins. They're in a situation where I don't think many people have expected it of them. On the other side, Weibo, they are trying to showcase that they are truly back, that we're seeing them on the upswing, but they will need to do a little bit more than to prove that against Top Esports here in the Ascension group.
Proved challenging indeed. Top Esports played their composition exceptionally well in game 1, though Weibo Gaming didn't go without a fight in the early game. It just became increasingly challenging to manage. A change in style, a change in strategy here, playing through a Kalista lane, isolating a Rumble lane. They've got the Poppy on, and we've got a potential level 1 shenanigans, so we'd love to listen to the Gyos. We may be forced to interrupt.
You just look down at the minimap and you can see that Weibo are not even stepping close to that. So it's like, yes, you're stacking up, but it is still the Ezreal Karma at level 1. They very well keep well away from that one.
For sure. Could be challenging indeed. You see exactly why Top Esports, though, are desperate to ensure they have some command of this lane, because if it does go wrong, and it might yet, it could get very, very ugly.
So, Weibo, need to really see how Tarzan gets out onto the map. Need to see how Light and Chris play this early game. Weibo, their biggest strength with this composition is the level 3 Poppy, and then the Kalista Renata in their early few levels, getting a push and trying to get a huge kill combo. Now, Ezreal Karma can get good poke. What tends to rule in Ezreal Karma lane, for those of you who haven't seen it in the last few years, it used to be incredibly meta. You look for the level 1 Mantra Q onto hopefully 2 people. If you can get it onto the minions as well and multiple champions, very, very powerful. The slow also makes it easier to hit the Ezreal Q as well. Jackalope hits 1 onto Crisp there. If the poke starts to rack up, this bot lane starts to get pushed for free. As you can see, Mako and Jackalope already getting Light and Crisp off the wave. The Guardian comes through, but you can see that the minions are starting to get chunked down, and some XP was lost there by Light and Crisp.
It will be a bit of a difficult position here, that's for sure, and where the Poppy is going to be around shortly if they want to go for a level 2 gank. See whether that's the option. Jackie and Mako have managed to get that early shove, as you call that.
Needs to do a full quadrant. So Tarzan's not going to be here on the earliest timing. This is why the Karma was brought in. Because put it this way, if you put in a more defensive support, Kalista Renata, they get control of that first wave, they get themselves a wave crash, and you can't play around that lane. So now the early levels from the Kalista Renata are not coming through to be like a dive throw, which is typically what we see out of this duo, the BLGs of the world. Of course, we saw this from T1 a lot of the time too. This was the bread and butter of how to play through aggressive bot lanes. This is a good adaptation from Top Esports to make sure it's not the easiest way to play through it. And now Wave will need to find something else on the map. Tarzan's level 3. This is the full build Poppy. Full build Poppy is going towards top side right now. 369 doesn't have a ward in River. Tarzan might just hang about in this brush. Probably a flash out of 369 and much else.
Oh, try and get something but the flash to work on from that one, but flash blown, everything else working out okay.
So 369 blowing that flash. Tarzan coming back again though.
For that regank, he's just going to be here as 369 puts down the wall, but it could already be too late. Can't quite get in range at all just now. 369 though still being burnt down, and the slow is just enough. First blood to the Rumble.
So, we said the big trade-off for Weibo was you lock in that Rumble. Nothing is fair against Rumble right now. This champion just destroys lanes, whereas Top Esports get themselves the Tristana, which is, of course, very, very powerful for Cream, and which one could potentially pop off first. Cream on that Tristana is such a ticking time bomb, much like the champion itself. But Breathe getting that first kill might just be what they need. And Tarzan is going right again. Level 3, full build Poppy, back towards topside again. Maybe just Hex flashing over that wall. Breathe has the lane in a great spot.
Do just that. Chris pulled back by the handshake himself, doing some work there. Was forced to flash. Karsan's back here again. We said they'd be looking bot lane instead. It's just punished the Kennen hours. Apparently gets shoved back, doesn't have the flash, slowed again by the hammer shock, and Breathe misses the initial harpoon. Tien is here, and Crisp and Light so very low.
So the level 3, they don't have a heal, they have the cleanse, the ignite. They're going to spot out Tien here. They will have that level 3, which means they have the bailout. Means it's not easy to get this.
Just dies before we can use it, never mind. Light in danger now as well. That's that passive from Tien stacking on him, but will not be brought down. Kill in the bot lane for top esports.
Okay, so that's going to be a lot of XP taken away from that Kalista as well. And this is now, the win conditions which Weibo had was, okay, you have the Rumble who's going to outvalue her points, especially if they get ahead, but also you have the Kalista Renata, which is meant to snowball. The last pick, Karma, has dismantled that bot side win condition. Light is coming down. Chris will have himself the bailout this time. It will be off cooldown. Tien's coming down.
Well, they back away knowing it can get a bit ugly, but it's still another wave, pretty much. Lot 15 CS to 42 is huge for the side of Jackie.
Yeah, so 369 is going to get himself, like, at least a wave state, which is okay, salvageable over here. Tien is going to get in towards this bot side, though. And the problem is with this Poppy is that you end up hyper-ganking towards this top side, but you do lose value. You need to get a good amount of value on this Poppy to make sure that they are, you know, making use of that level 3 power spike, and it doesn't fall apart beyond that point. It is one kill in top side, but given that top esports got so much value out of that bot lane, I don't think it's enough right now.
Of course, we are still now looking at a bot lane, which is in a pretty interesting position. You've locked in a Kalista Renata. It's not gone well. I think it's fair to see 4 choices that have been made. You've then got your Rumble very far ahead of this Kennen, at least in terms of gold, but the Kennen's got the farm, but the Kalista has not.
Yeah, this is not even on this top side. So Weibo, this was one of the danger points of this composition. That again, I like to call it we like to call it the Luke Skywalker pick, which is the red 5, the last pick of the draft. Ends up being a bit of a proton torpedo into Weibo's draft. That Karma has really, really ruined the win conditions of Weibo's early game. They're going to have to scrap their way through it. This is going to be a level 6 Rumble coming down towards these grubs. You might see a fight right now coming through. Tien takes one of them, jumps backwards. Tarzan already used that W, which means it won't be available. Long cooldown of that first rank. Second one goes down. No fight coming just yet. 369
gets the slicing maelstrom down. Breathe, chunk low, but not down quite yet. Tien maybe forced to get out of the pit, fails the flash over the wall, doesn't have an assault right now, with the W there, means Tien is stuck in the pit and falls down.
One kill over to Weibo in this extended play to match that one on the top side earlier. It's still going to be 2 grobes to the side of Tien. I'm surprised that Weibo couldn't get themselves a cleaner fight around that, but Tien manages to get himself at least those 2 grubs before it goes down. The first ult of the game from Breathe gets himself something 2 kills on that Rumble. Now, Breathe, one of the new additions to this roster of Weibo, needs to prove that this investment was worthwhile. Tien flashes out of that wall stun. It's a really hard ability to flash out of, but he still ends up going down, so you kind of just waste the flash there.
Unfortunate there, perhaps you just give it on up, but still, they get the 2 grubs. You know, only trade for that kill. Of course, you've got to be a bit scared because Breathe is going to be absolutely terrifying here, as that's so much bot lane. It's still a problem, though.
Yeah, Light has not had a fun time here. I almost wonder if they should have gone towards the lethality Kalista as soon as you see that Azrael Karma locked in. I know that you can still get good press the attack trades, and I know that the Halo Blades build is worse and it's less good in terms of the opportunity getting nerfed to you, but like, this is the risk. You're now an on-hit Kalista with 0 gold. One of the things about Kalista, and one of the reasons why we've seen Kalista fall out of pro play at points, is that when you have to play the on-hit version of the Kalista, whether that was the old Blade Hurricane build in the past, or the Blade and the Terminus and Rage Blade build as it is currently, if you don't have the stats, you have to still go very low range, and you can't dance away from everything. As it stands, they're getting ganked again.
Try and get some damage back as Crisp, chunked very low, nowhere really to go. He's got the bailout on top of him, so they just turn on to Light, who just about survives for a second or 2 longer. The bailout comes on through regardless, and Jackie gets both.
masterclass from top esports bot lane. The draft has worked, the level 1 has worked, and the continuation to keep Light and Crisp down, keep pushing them under the waterline as it rises around them has worked out an absolute treat. And, you know, Weibo, I think that Weibo have been on much better form than they were in groups. And I don't necessarily even think this is a... this series, it's one of those sad things where I feel like you look at the results of this and you say, oh, it's just Weibo back. Of course, they're much worse than top esports. Now, I do think they are worse than top esports, especially in this game that they're playing right now. I think they are still better than they were. Tarzan's going towards Cream, gets Buster shot away, can't quite flash into range to get that steadfast presence, tries to block that jump at the end of it. Now he's down a flash. Tarzan trying to play that again. The full build Poppy, the early game Poppy. You unlock all of your abilities, you go psycho across the map. Hasn't got enough value.
Not yet, at the very least, and it is proving so frustrating down here. Even with just 2 grubs, 4 plates about to fall. You get that last auto, you feel it's a guarantee, and there it is. Light hits another one of those, gets hit by another one of those Qs. The Mystic shots feeling pretty targeted this game.
So this is going to be the ball gang. I kind of wanted to replay that mid lane because it's really slick stuff from Cream. Maybe we'll get it afterwards. But I mean, they get themselves a point where they need to crash that wave. You can't not hit that wave. But then the problem is, because no one else is there to help them hit that wave, they end up getting slapped by a big gank here. And, you know, the bailouts onto the Renata, they don't have to focus them. They put the damage onto the Kalista instead. Crisp goes down. And sadly, this Kalista Renata is now down in a 2v2. More than 2,500 gold between the Ezreal and the Karma. That's just gone up to 3,500 gold lead as a 2v2 between both the Ezreal and the Karma.
It's so rough to see, and again, this was a lane that was drafted for Weibo game to get pressure and attack bot. Tarzan, understandably in some ways, decided, look, I'd rather go top lane after we didn't really find an angle early, but it's come at such an insane cost, and the value back just hasn't been there. Crisp walks over a ward, 369 is in danger, don't get me wrong, but how much value getting here all the while?
I really feel like this needs to work out. The ult comes through. That's a lot of damage onto Tarzan. It will be the kill. Crisp goes down.
No, not quite.
Not quite. Thought he would do. Tian has himself that ultimate. Can potentially look for a jump over the wall as Jackie and Mako are rotating topside, but no kill back. That is bare minimum for what Weibo need. Cream is still hitting the outer turret in mid lane, though, as this happens.
Tarzan is there, just allowing Xiaohu to get out of dodge for now. But Tien and Mako could look to go forwards here. Shield on top speeds Tien up briefly, but they won't pull the trigger. They're happy to give up that one kill.
So the Cream
nearly here.
Over. Wall stun.
Jumps on in, gets the double knock up with the Keeper's Verdict, but Mako stays alive. Another turnaround damage begins to come on through. The hostile takeover is short. Not going to be useful. Tarzan dead to rights. Light stunned up. Goes down again this game. The bailout does not keep him alive. Crisp in danger. Goes down as well. Mako only falls now as Xiao, who has to Valkyrie forwards to get him. Grubs have spawned. Top esports are there. Jackie looks for a snipe that's not going to land anything because 369 is backing in the bush further down the lane. But top esports get so much more value.
Top esports take this bot lane advantage and it explodes onto the map. That 3,500 gold lead in the 2v2 before is now gone up to 4,000. There is a teleport ward for Weibo. Will they choose to pull the trigger? Xiaohu up now. He can teleport into that top side. There are members from top esports on this top side though, so I don't really think they can commit very heavily to this one, despite the fact they would love to get a slap back. Top esports have just skirmished better. They have team fought better. And while I do think that Weibo have been playing better than they did, particularly in that group stage, here in the Rumble stage, they're amongst the they're in the big fishes. This is arguably the best team in the LPL. I think BLG have beaten them to that now with a comprehensive series victory over them just earlier this week. But top esports are still top esports. Tarzan is trying to get this early playmaking down, and you feel like they have to do this. They're already far enough down. They need to find a miracle play from somewhere. This isn't it, though. Chris doesn't get a great ultimate. He's in the wrong position. He tries to get an ultimate over the wall. Breathe also doesn't have his equalizer too. You're trying to get these snappy early game plays without all of your big tools for it. It feels like Weibo have just been drawn into their own madness of this game. They're panicking a little bit because top esports are beating them at their own game.
They are, and now into the mid lane we go. Jackie gets more plates. This mid lane turret under siege, no herald required, and that's before 40 minutes, so the value is huge. This gold lead is ballooning to monstrous proportions.
Oh my word, this is a snowball and a half. This is a snow boulder at this point. It just keeps rolling downhill, and Weibo don't have a great amount to stop it with. They're currently set in its path, and it's looking a little bit like an Indiana Jones movie as they try and run away from that one. Boulder at the Temple of Doom. This one has been Yeah, you know, funnily enough, one of my favorite team compositions of all time, our favorite team
yes.
composition of all time, get ready for this, folks. It is Rumble, Kiana, and then also Brawl. And it is Kiana Jones and the Carpets of Doom, as you just get all of these line strip skill shots as people try and run away from the boulder, which is the wombo combo.
It's pretty ridiculous, and we do love that. I miss Kiana.
I miss that.
She was so cool. Of course, very obnoxious at points of power, but I enjoyed watching particularly Kiana Jungle was, for TN in particular, an absolute menace to watch.
That was
Season 9 Worlds.
Oh, do you remember that era of Season 8, Season 9, when Conqueror was one of the most busted runes we'd ever seen,
strong.
and you had junglers who were stronger than solo laners because they could just like kill you at level 3, level 4. Like that was wild. That was wild. And I have to say, I am glad that junglers aren't at that point anymore, where they become actually the strongest person on the map and they become the main character for the entire game. That was a bit much, but I still feel like now they have some great ability to impact the game, particularly the AP junglers coming back. They can be those carry threats. The jungle diversity right now has been pretty good. We've seen Kindred, we've seen farming junglers, we still see Kanavi's Lee Sin, we see Sejuani in terms of tank junglers, an odd Maokai about the place. The jungle pool is pretty good. I will say the mid lane pool is
very limited, yeah.
Kind of shit here for Mr. Mid Lane and myself over here. I miss my Ahri from Spring. At least we get some LeBlanc around the place, but you know, we are back towards Corki Tristana for the millionth time. Junglers get to have fun. I want to see a few more of those mid laners back.
369 potentially has a teleport angle here if he wants to come looking for this Herald. The observer's like, look, they can really look for this, and they know it's coming on in. Here come the rest of top esports. Xiaohu backing away. The ultimate comes on through from Rumble, but already Poppy has been deleted. 369 with Flash could look for a slicing maelstrom. This just not required. Doesn't even get involved with the kill. But they get out, they lose 2, and they're going to lose the Herald too.
Look, folks, if you're losing control of the map at 15 minutes and getting flank teleported on from within your own jungle, there is a huge issue. Top esports, you know, they've gotten every single objective on the map besides one grub. They're going to get themselves that Herald. That will almost certainly break open another turret, because I don't think Weibo have themselves the wave clear at this point. It is, I don't know, man. This ain't looking so great. The fact that Breathe finds his first death of the game, this whole draft was, can the Rumble get enough gold? Can the Rumble control the team fights? The answer has been no. Rumble is here. Breeze's looking for a, you know, big ult at the start of this, but, you know, the front line of TN is so much stronger than the front line of Tarzan at this point. Cream dunks him, gets himself the reset, jumps over the red carpet, and it is a welcome party for him as Breathe goes down at that point. 2 very easy kills. The Herald going over. Weibo, you understand why they're looking for these big early game skirmishes, because I don't think it gets easier later into the game, but it is a bit of a poor looking for them. As soon as they lost that bot lane, I think that things fell apart. I have to say now, on retrospect, whether Tarzan should have still tried to hardcore focus bot. When you have the Ezreal Karma, you have that Glycerin, it is obvious whoever gets there as a jungler first and gets to flip that lane is going to make a mess of things. JackeyLove and Mako win that level 1, Tien comes down first, and the game falls apart. I think trusting the Kalista Renata to survive against that lane is a bit of fool's hope.
Yeah, and doing it by itself when you drafted for influence from the jungle just hasn't happened. I feel like in some ways you had to trust Breathe to win the lane by himself, and in fairness, he's been a win condition in some ways. He's the only part of the team that is ahead, and it's still very scary. It's just look at the leads literally everywhere else. Even the look in mid lane was just hopped away from casually by Cream.
I mean, Cream's Tristana, this is one of the other things you gave up for this. The last pick of the Karma, I think, actually ends up winning the draft because it was incredible. I think that Mako's flexibility on display there, a man of 1,000 games plus, actually. Has completely ruined this game with the versatility. There is going to be an objective bounty. There's going to be a teleport. Tarzan here too.
Tarzan on a flank, can look to get onto someone's key. Forces Cream to flash away. The equalizer comes on through, but only really chunks out Mako. The heal comes on down and into the backline. The damage is huge. The Pokeball is summoned to try and keep the support alive.
This is 4v5.
There's no Kennen here.
And this is a 4v5. Top esports end up winning out through that one. The wall stun didn't come through, and therefore the play falls apart. So close from Tarzan, but much like most of this game, it has been so close, but just far enough to fail. Tarzan hyper ganked that top lane early. 3-4 ganks chained together onto 369 has not been enough to open up a winning angle in this game. Top esports have scrapped their way through into a dominant game. The Herald comes through, big amount of damage onto that turret. Look how close Tarzan is to getting this to kill here. But Cream, he stands far enough away from the wall, so it's not going to be a good wall stun angle. Means that follow-up can't come through. Chris flies forwards and tries to get himself that handshake too, but Cream also buffers out of that one, and Cream manages to just run over that team fight. Again, Weibo, that was a lot of the remaining ammunition they had. They don't have those flashes and teleports now.
was a limited chance anyway. Mako gets the root over the wall on the Tarzan, who's frozen up. The True Shot Barrage does so much damage at this point of the game. You can see the statistical analysis there. I think it might be a little higher than that. I'm not going to lie to you guys.
Yeah, but it's top esports piloting this composition. Yeah. It's a little bit higher than that. So turret also going to be forced in as well. Baron hasn't even spawned yet. This is how dominant it is. The Baron's not even spawned. Weibo, they're trying to get some objective bounties. They got one in the top lane out of turret. They get another one in the bot lane out of turret just now. That is something back, but it is not nearly enough. Top esports, they have themselves the Sejuani ultimate coming up soon. Ooh. And that is going to be the Rumble ultimate used for wave clear at 18 minutes on the inhibitor turret. There's already an open mid lane inhibitor. Top esports, they have turned the screws.
JackeyLove is nearly at 3 items, and he's gotten so fed so early, his Manamune hasn't transformed.
What?
He might get a 3rd item before his Manamune transforms.
I don't know exactly how much gold he has in pocket. He might genuinely get to that point. Big bong on Sora gets the extended blast of Pure Range as well. They don't have that Rumble equalizer now. The only gold on their team has gone to Breathe, and he can't even get himself that team-winning ultimate because he's using it for wave clear. Weibo have been outclassed, hugely so.
No.
And of course, now with that ultimate coming through, there is defender's advantage for Weibo where they can go through and regen from the base plate. But given how much poke has come through, it might not even save their inhibitors. JackeyLove is here, just whacking around that turret, misses the spell flux on this as well. Maybe he's trying to catch out light beyond that, but he has enough anyway beyond that point. One inhibitor fallen at 19.5 minutes. Another one open beyond this point. There is a teleport from Breathe. He has a flash, but he might have been spotted.
Oh, he was on a control ward, so it's a known quantity in Breathe with no Zhonya's. Really in a great position necessarily to full-on face tank. No Riftmaker or anything like that. They'll lose the Skull Crab here as well, and instead they just turn onto the Rumble, who flashes away. Does land that Electro Harpoon. Tarzan missing with the Keeper's Verdict. Could still prove a little bit problematic here as Cream steps on forwards. Remember, Kennen not here. Still, this is still a 4v4. Teleport now flying on through his shadow. He's tugged out by that True Shot Barrage. Cream still alive, still healthy, still dangerous. Crisp gets the bailout as Tarzan chunked out by a slicing Maelstrom. Light is snuffed, and Breathe falls as well, breathing his last. The inhibitors are exposed, Baron's alive, and they've got their choice of the litter in terms of what they go towards.
And not even the RNG Baron giving an extra wall stun opportunity for Tarzan can win that fight for Weibo. It is clean from them. Cream on his Tristana, showing exactly why you probably should have banned that one. They're going to go straight towards the Baron on spawn, bomb it down with the Tristana in that mid lane, who gets themselves that 3rd item. Weibo, they try themselves a last hurrah with that teleport coming in from Breathe. It just isn't the game-changing fight they need. Breathe is immediately focused down, and he has to flash away from the play. It's not the end of that play, but it does end up just putting Weibo into the defensive footwork again. I thought for a second the change towards the Territorial Baron would have ended up giving an option there from Weibo. If that wall's going to come through because of the change in the Baron pit, that could have ended up being one of the weirdest team fights I've ever seen, but it doesn't quite come through, and sadly for the side of Weibo, they just haven't got the gold. They don't have the damage, they don't have the CC, and they don't have the health class.
That's exactly it, and it was always going to be difficult, but the leads that were garnered from the early game are just so unmanageable. 5 grubs, Soul Point coming on through. It feels like a game that is 10 minutes later than it is, purely off the lead. It's a 12,000 gold lead. It's only just gone 21 minutes.
I mean, they're getting more than 500 gold lead per minute. Mako's got himself a Mikhail's as well, so if a wall stun does come through, if a big Renata ult does come through, that's a saving point as well. The Shirelia's helping you outpace a lot of this too. Weibo have very limited engage. They have a very slow Renata ult. You have nothing really to pin people into. The equalizer too. It is a wall stun, and that is it, and that is so conditional. Weibo are going to be spotted in that brush there, and it means that top esports going to start jumping forwards again. They have that Shirelia's. They have the Ezreal on the power spike. 2-man ultimate chunks out Weibo to about half HP on Xiao, and they just keep rolling it forwards.
We love bites, but so does JackeyLove. Lord almighty, he's 3 items. It's only an item on light. He is a 1-item Callista. On the other side, Jackie is about to be able to 1v9 this as Cream gets jumped on by Tarzan, but gets a buffer over the wall. Still has Buster Shot available. Flashes out of the equalizer. Does eventually go down, but all the while, their base is being broken apart.
And now you don't have the equalizer either. If you have the equalizer, you can look for a big AoE team fight. There are 3 Baroned up super minion waves. Weibo, you catch Cream, but at what cost?
Yeah, finally, I understand going for dessert first. The problem is you've got to deal with the meat of the matter. And that is JackeyLove. That is the rest of top esports, who are quite happy to have a 3-course meal named Weibo Gaming. They have been feasting all game long, with the exception of poor old 3x69, who's been on a diet. But maybe, just maybe, he's allowed to have a little bit of something at the end as just a treat to end up this series. Top Esports have taken no prisoners this game. No sign of remorse. They are back on board. Their first series win at the Rumble stage.
Top Esports, maybe it was the schedule, maybe it was entering into the Rumble stage, but feels like whatever happened to their form before this point seems to be now a point of the past. Top Esports, they lose against BLG, lose against LNG. Could they have lost against Weibo? They answer that as absolutely goddamn not. They stomped through this series.
I have not seen an early game snowball like that in a very long time. And again, we knew that bot lane would be volatile, but that is on another level.
Top Esports, back in form, so it seemed. I really think that Tian had a fantastic series. I think that Jack 11 Mako with that last game as well, through draft and through early game play, removed the win conditions from Weibo. I still think that Weibo are playing better than they have done in the group stage and through the Rumble stage. They've given me a lot to be hopeful for. They do find themselves now, though, I believe, at 2-2, all things said and done. They ended up beating JDG and, of course, losing to now LNG and Top Esports. Weibo not quite there at the top of the table. We know that their potential is very high, but not high enough to take down Top Esports on this current form. Folks, hello, that was our last game of the day. I'm Nymaera, also known as Alex. This is Sam, also known as Initialise. We're brothers, we cast together, and when LPL English does not broadcast Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, despite the game still happening, we use our co-stream rights to make sure we fill in the gap. We hope you've been enjoying it. Hope you enjoyed today as well. I'm going to stick around for the MVP.
That's fair.
Sam's going to go stream